can't have the supply exact match demand because there's always some variation, especially this random variation we can't control, right? Anything we can take it belong to this category if we don't understand. So it's random variation, like 1,000 years ago we don't understand why that is the sunrise in the morning and the sunset on the afternoon, but now we can understand. So it's not belong to random variation anymore. But still, there are lots of things we can't explain, right? So that's why we can't match the supply with demand. Okay, so scope operations management. There are so many important activities under this operations management, this big family. We will introduce many of them, but not all of them in this semester's class. For example, Chapter 3, which is the next chapter we'll study, is about forecasting. Well, we'll forecast. For the operations management, one of the most important forecasting is the demand forecasting. Right? If you want to manage your inventory, if you want to make sure you have enough people on sites for Walmart, for Lion, or even BB&T, one of the most important things you want to do first is to make a very accurate forecast, demand forecasting. But demand forecasting is not enough. Let's say you have a very good forecasting, but then you find, okay, I really need 100 people work here, but you don't have 100 people. You only have 10 people. That's next chapter we'll study, capacity planning. Well, even you're perfect on forecast, you don't have enough capacity. Okay, there's nothing you can do to lose the competition with your competitor. Right? You don't have people, you don't have a machine, maybe you don't have the facility. Right? Once you have good forecasting, or even you have the capacity, you should know how to schedule your capacity, your people, your machine, to make sure it can match our demand. Right? So that's the, in fact, chapter 16, one of the last chapter we'll study of scheduling. Another important chapter we'll study is chapter 13, is inventory management. You have good forecasting, you have people are scheduled to work there in Walmart, then find out, okay, the shelf is empty. A lot of customers come, you have a cashier, but if you don't have inventory, still you can't match your demand with your supply. But you're perfect here, forecasting, you have perfect capacity, scheduling, but if you have shortage of inventory, end of story. Some other important things, for example, assuring the quality. Well, you have enough food, enough goods, enough products, you have people, you sell to customers are not happy about the quality, they return back to you in Walmart. That's another problem. Right? Motivating of the employee. We won't cover that in our class. It's majorly about the human resource management or organization behavior, but it's also very important. Facility location. That's chapter 8 we'll discuss. Okay, if you want to open new distribution center like say Food Alliance in North Carolina, you have to select the best location for this new distribution center. Well, we'll study different models to see how to choose the optimal location when you open new, let's say, retailer store or distribution center or manufacturing center. So this is a difference. And then many more. Okay. As the operations management, if you are the operation management, okay, you have to consider all activities related to the production or providing the service. Primary function for operation management is to guide the system by making the decisions. Like, high level is the system design decisions. Think about some activity we have talked about. For example, the location planning. If you want to open new Walmart or new Food Lion, it's a very, very expensive decision. It's very high level, like system design decision. Because once you open that, it's really expensive to close that or even change the size of this new store. For my home, that's close to 1 mile close to my home. That was a Food Lion before in Fayetteville, but they closed like 1 year ago because they are not doing very good on the business. I believe they lost a lot of money when they decided to close this Food Lion. And for daily or monthly decision, it's a system operation decision. It's short term, it's not so important compared to the design decision, but keep you busy. Right? Like forecasting, manage your inventory, scheduling, weekly schedule for employee. System design included, we have discussed capacity, location, also include facility layouts. If you have a big warehouse, how you want to design your layout? Think about our library. It's a good simple example, right? how can we design a layout of a library that's easy for students to find the books? Well, you can see, if you go to different libraries, they have very similar layouts, but they still have some difference, right? So how to design the layouts of a library? Sometimes it's really hard to find a book in the library. Maybe some people just hide this book, so only he or she can find the book. It's happened, right? So products and service planning, acquisition or purchase of equipment. These are typically very long-term decisions and require long-term commitment of resource, and it's also determine the parameter of system operations. Let me explain this last sentence. Think about that. Let's say you have the capacity. Okay, 10 years ago, you decided to buy 2 advanced machines, have 100 employees. It can change a little bit. You can have a temporary employee, you can do some outsourcing. But it has major parameters to determine your scheduling. Right? You only have 100 people. Then your schedule is based on 100, maybe plus or minus 20, based on whether you have temporary employee. And that's the input. You can't say, okay, I want to schedule 1,000 people. You can't do that. You have the capacity. Similar layouts. If you have a layout, there are many things you can't do given your layout. Right? So that's why we say it's determine the parameters of system operations. Here's a system operation. For example, people. You have to manage your employee, most likely, every day's job. Inventory management is definitely a daily job to make sure you have enough inventory to satisfy the demand of your customer. Okay. Scheduling, many times it's like monthly or a weekly job. Right? You have to schedule your employees' workload every week. Projects management, quality assurance is like every day or even every minute if you have the production every minute. Project management really depends on the length of your projects. My previous experience, the project can be from 3 months to 1 year or even 2 years. So it depends. So operation management usually definitely spend more time on system operation than any other decision area. They still have a vital stake in system design. The reason is that, so you can see, for last slide, system design is very long-term decision. Manager level is not high enough to make the whole decision about the capacity, about the location plan. Usually it's like C level or director level to make this decision. But they need your input. They need your input. Okay, what do you think? Okay, is that a good idea? We open a new Walmart in Pembroke. So they need the first level manager's inputs. So that's why we say it's not the operation management daily job, but you have a vital stake in this system design. Okay, U.S. manufacturing versus service employee. No surprise, right, for you guys, for everybody. We don't have any surprise. So from 1940 to 2005, even now, 2016, it's always decline for the job opportunity for the manufacturing sector. And in the meantime, okay, the job opportunity for the service industry keep increasing. Okay, no surprise, we know that, right? I want to ask the reason why the manufacturing job opportunity keep decreasing.
Globalizations, outsourcing to different countries, that where labor mainly is cheaper.
Okay, very good reason. Any other reason? Outsourcing? Except outsourcing. Manufacturing job opportunity keep decreasing. Any other reason? Outsourcing definitely is an important reason. No reason?
As more and more people as more and more jobs are being outsourced, our knowledge in the area of the manufacturing is decreasing. So we just don't know how to do it anymore.
Okay, so it's like short term is outsourcing, and long term you some company or even some region lose the ability permanently. That's key.
Replacing people manufacturing things with like technology.
Yeah. I think that is one of the most important reasons. Right? For me, because it's very interesting. We have some Chinese students, we have international students. I'm from China, right? So for me, when we think about, okay, we lose manufacturing job, like 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, it's very easy to point a finger, okay, say, oh, you outsource to developing countries like China, Malaysia, or even Africa. It's very easy. But if you see the global view, it's the same. It's maybe not decreasing as steep as US, but overall, the global manufacturing jobs keep decreasing. It's pretty flat, but it's decreasing. The reason, as you said, I think is we don't need more people. We have machines, we have software, we have robots. They replace human beings. So in this sense, human beings were in the group, right? Globalization, where we can point the finger and say, you steal my job, or you are cheap labor. But after 100 years later, I'm worried about my daughter. I say, okay, nobody wants to steal your job. The robots or software will have your job. You don't need to work. So that's crazy problem, right? That's crazy, especially for Europe. I went to Europe 2 years ago, right? Europe is definitely most countries are very rich, but the unemployment rate when I visit Spain, Italy, Portugal, right, it's very high. They're very, very high. Maybe like, especially for young people under 30 years old, it's 30%, something like that. You think about 30% unemployment, that's crazy problem. The problem is not that you are hungry or you are almost die, you don't have a place to live. Because they are developing countries, so they have very good benefits. So you don't worry about that. Food, you don't worry about. You have like food stamp like here, you have right like benefits or have very cheap rental costs, so you can live. But the problem, especially for young generation, well, you lose the motivation to fight. If you don't have a job for 10 years, it's really hard to imagine you have the bright future after 10 years. Why you just lose? You play games, play Dota, play Pokemon Go, play whatever you like, right? But yeah, we like play. I also like play game, but you can't just play game every day, right? So that's crazy problem. So that's thing we have to think about. You can see many governments, U.S. governments, the same government do the same thing, right? They create some job. It's easy, can be easily done by software or robots or by machines, but they still create this job so people can do this job to make the society stable. And that's very important because companies, they won't do that. What's the point, right? I lose profit to do that. So the only governments can do this kind of job. In my opinion, the reason is that if you want to make the society stable, less crime, people are happy, you have to make sure that the unemployment rate is low. Even that we don't need so many people to work. Right? You think about it, okay, I like Walmart's self-checkout machine. I seldom use the cashier, but you need them to work. That's very important. That's very important. But on the other hand, the service job keep increasing. We know that we do more and more service job, right? So which is good. In fact, for you guys, okay, if you choose a job, we have to keep that in mind. Okay, manufacturing we still have manufacturing jobs. But if you go to manufacturing, you know that you have to be excellent in this industry because we know in the long term it will keep losing job globally, not just for US, globally. Okay. When I went to Portugal, it's very, for me it's interesting, but maybe a sad story for people from Portugal. They have to go to Brazil to find a job because Brazil they speak Portuguese, right? So because there's very few jobs in their country, they have to go to their previous colony to find a job because Brazil is booming. So was booming, maybe not now, but yeah. So that's is the story. But overall, manufacturing industry is harder and harder. Productivity, outsourcing, is contributing to the loss of the manufacturing jobs. Well, if you are the entrepreneur, probably you are happy about that. You don't need to have so many people. You can open your business so easily. But okay, all the governments, they are worried about that. And also statistical artifacts. Many companies, they now want to use contractor. Right? They use temporary workers instead of permanent. How some people are permanent. Why they want to use the contractor? Why? If you are the boss, why you want to hire a contractor instead of just hire Charles and pay me, I don't know, annual salary? Why?
They don't have to give them the benefits and deal with all that if they hire from another company.
Yeah, very, very important reason because the benefits is very expensive, especially after Obamacare or let's say Obama healthcare reformation, right? So the benefits you give to employees can be very expensive, very expensive. another reason, of course, it's pretty easy to lay out. It's not called layout because we have contract, right? So those layout, we just don't renew your contract, right? Same thing as layout, right? Anyway, so it's pretty easy, right, to change your capacity, very flexible. So that's the reason. Okay, doesn't show up in the statistics. Okay, to make our decisions. As a manufacturer, as an operations manager, you have to make a lot of decisions. Okay, you should ask several questions before you make decision. Okay, like what resource are you needing? What amounts? Right? To answer this question, this probably is the last chapter we'll study in this class. MRP, okay, material resource planning will tell us, okay, how much resource we need. When? There's so many when we should be answered, but scheduling definitely is direct related to time, right? When to schedule this employee to work, right? And also when to place the order, right? When to put our stuff in our shelf, right? When to ship the product to the customer. There's so many questions related to the time. When, right? Well, the location decision, right? Where to open new store, right? That's location decision. How? How is particularly related to quality control, right? The way you do that will definitely affects the product's quality. Last question, who? Right? Human resource. Do you want to hire this person, or do you want to do the outsourcing? That's very important decision too. Okay, so we will consider different methods to help us to make our decision. Modeling definitely is a very useful tool by making our decisions. By definition, the model is an abstraction of the reality, simplification. But there are some common features of all different models. Okay. First, they are just simplifications of real life phenomena. So which means they are simpler than the real situations. They are simpler. When they are simpler, that means they are not accurate. They are not exact the same way as the real life phenomena. And hopefully they omit unimportant details of real life system, so they mimic, so the attention can be focused on the most important one. But I can tell you, many models, they really omit some important details. That's the reason many models don't work very well. But a good model should only omit unimportant details and focus on important factors. There are three types of models. Okay, the first one is a physical model. Look like their real life counterparts. It's really like the real life situation. The second scenario is a semantic models. Less like their real life counterparts than the physical model. The last one is the one we'll introduce a lot in this semester. It's called mathematical models. It doesn't look at all for the real life phenomena, but it's easy, it's very simple, it can be implemented easily. Before we talk about the mathematical model, we'll spend almost the whole semester. Let's first talk about physical model. Physical models look like their real life counterpart. Usually it's very expensive because you want to mimic the real situation of the real life. It's really expensive. But we still, some students, we have to use physical model. We can't make it so abstract, use mathematical models. So I want to ask you guys, could you give me some examples, right? We have to use physical models. We can't use mathematics. We can't use computer or do the math in the computer. We have to use physical model.
When you're doing architectural models?
Architecture, you mean the
Building models.
building models? Yeah, definitely. Bridges. But bridges, they still have, they definitely have something in the computer first, right? And then they probably like a small bridge, right? Model. And then to test that, and then big bridge. But it's a good example. Maybe I will take this into the semantic models, like bridge, something like semantic. Not really the big. You don't build a really big bridge first and then put it on the river, right?
Well, I know when they build airplanes, when they're changing the cabins, they usually make a model, but they're not using the exact material from like plywood or something like that to create the atmospheres.
I think that's a great example. Yeah, the airplane is very important, very critical, especially related to the lives of people. Right? Another example, think about that. Before we send any human beings to the universe, we send monkeys, different animals to the universe, right? It's definitely very expensive sending them to the universe, but you don't want to send any human beings to universe before we test for animals. Right? This is like the physical model. Right? Another real physical model I really like is the car. When you guys buy a car, what features you are thinking about when you buy a car? No preference? Engine?
Gas mileage.
Miles per gallon? Anything else?
Comfort.
Yeah. Are you comfortable? Maybe for girls, appearance, very important, right? Anything else?
The air conditioning.
Safety. Okay. That's also I'm looking for because I have a daughter, so it's very important. When you look at safety, what's thing you can refer to for the safety?
Seatbelts.
Seatbelts.
Airbags.
Airbag, yeah, they have some features, but anything else? Huh?
The crash rating.
Yeah, crash rating. How can they raise the crash?
By testing it.
Yeah. When they do the crash test, it's a true car. Right, very expensive. The brand new car, yeah, they don't put a human being there, right? It's a toy there, but it's really a physical one. It's very expensive. We all know that. You can refuse. Let's say I'm Ford. I don't want to give you a brand new car to crash my car, right? But if you refuse to do that, okay, you don't have this crash test. Well, it will definitely affect customers' decision. So you have to do the physical model to pursue your customer. Okay, that's for the Taurus. We have very good crash test result. Those because we have airbag, we have the comprehensive design, right? Then customer, okay, they are persuaded they buy your product. So physical model are still very useful. You can show me like computer software simulation like 10,000 times. So, okay, nobody died. But for us, okay, we are human beings. Do we really trust this simulation? It's hard, right? Except to the physical model. Very good discussion. So, to understand this model, we need to answer so many questions. Let's give an example. We'll discuss later. This chapter is about forecasting, right? When you use a forecasting model, okay, to make the forecasting, the first question, if you have this model, let's say I make the forecast model is okay. The demand for chicken wings of the Walmart is 1,000 is too big, maybe. You guys can eat 1,000 chicken wings. Okay. Let's say this is weekly demand. Okay, it's keep increase. Okay, so from week 1, week 2. Okay, that is the model. It's very simple model, right? So we use this model to make the forecast of the chicken wings demand in Walmart in Pembroke. Then, first question I want you guys to answer me is that what is the purpose of this model I built? What's the purpose?
Calculating the demand.
Yeah, like the forecast demand, right? Then, how it is used to generate the results? How we use that?
Depends on what we define X to be.
It's weekly. So it's a weekly demand that we want to forecast.
The number of people per week
Uh,
times the demand.
It's too complex. In fact, it's very easy. So you just plug x equal to 1 is week 1's demand, x equal to 2, that's week 2's demand.
Okay.
Yeah, don't make it too complex. Yeah, we can be very complex next week, but just simple. So you just plug in, okay, any week you want to forecast. If you are manager, say I want to forecast 4 weeks later chicken wings demand. You just plug x equal to 4 into this model, then you get your forecast. Right? And then how the results interpret and use. Generally, okay, you interpret the final result as a forecast. You can direct use this forecast, right? For example, scheduling, for inventory management, for ordering, right? That's how we use the results. You plug X and then use the result. Assumption and limitation, well, it really depends on how I or as Charles build this simple model. It can be have some limitation or have a lot of strong assumption, right? It's like linear relationship. If they don't have any linear relationship, this model is totally wrong, right? Maybe I have this assumption, it has a linear relationship between the time period and demand of chicken wings. So that's a simple model. All the model we introduce in this semester, we have to answer these 4 questions, so it's very important. And I would say the most important question from my experience for working for consultants is the third one. How are the results interpreted and used? Usually, if you work for Fortune 5 company, many big companies, they already have some model either by software, they purchase very expensive software, or maybe they have already maybe even Excel templates. You just click the button, you get the result. But the problem is that different manager, if different people sometimes they interpret the results different and wrongly. For example, they maybe say, okay, I plug in x equal to 4, okay, get the results, and use this and the forecast for the third week. Right? That's the wrong results interpretation is for the fourth week. So you need to understand that, especially you work for the industry. So my clients always ask me, okay, how do you explain these results to me? Okay, why that's sometimes it's just simple mistake. For example, units of measurements, they use like packs. We use each single unit, bottles, and then they find the result doesn't match. They didn't check the units of measurement. Say, why you have a huge demand? I say, because you usually use packs, like 12 bottles. My forecast is how many bottles you have, right? Then you should convert or divide by 12. That should be the forecast you use. So there's so many details, right? When you work for the industry, you will know that. Benefits. There are lots of benefits. First, cheap, right? Less expensive, right? It also requires users to organize, sometimes quantify the information. You have the good habits, you have the numbers. Increase understanding of the problem, and this one is very important. We can analyze what-if questions. If you review your DAS, your degree evaluation is also has what-if, right? What if I take 3 classes this semester, when I can graduate? What if I fail some class, what can happen? Well, this mathematical model is so simple. You just plug different x. You can say, what if for week 8? You can do that, right? So you can answer this what if question easily. But for the physical model, think about crash test. It's really hard to answer. You say, okay, you failed the first crash test for the Taurus. You say, I want to strengthen the safe belts, maybe strengthen the airbag, but you don't know. Okay, how much it can improve the survival rates of your drivers? Only after you have another physical test, then very expensive physical test, you can know, okay, it's really improved the survival rates of our drivers or passengers. But for mathematical model, okay, it's very easy or inexpensive at least to answer this what-if question. It's a consistent tool for evaluation and provide standard formats to analyze the problem. Enable users to bring the power of mathematics to bear on a problem. So we know that's a benefit of model. And another thing I also know that from my previous experience of teaching this class, I know some students may be not very good at math when come to this school. I totally can understand that because we have a pretty different group of students, okay? And you guys are from different background. Most of you guys are in school business, but business also have like different background. So some students may be very strong as quantitative stuff, some students may be okay as quantitative stuff, some students may struggle in business statistics 1 or business statistics 2 from quantitative stuff, right? One thing I have to say in advance is this course is very quantitative. It is very quantitative. I'm not sure whether it's more quantitative than statistics or not. It really depends on your judgment, but it's very quantitative. Second thing I want to say is that I'm here. I'm always ready to help you guys. If you struggle on quantitative stuff, right? Calculation, build a model, understand the model, explain the model, okay, I'm here. And your classmates are here. From my experience, classmates help each other. I've seen my best student probably 2 years ago, right? 2014 semester, 4th semester. Oh, they have each other. They only come to me, they say, okay, we have 5 people, we can't solve this problem. They come to me. I don't encourage you guys to do that. You can come to me directly. But what I mentioned that students, good students, they help others. Right? It's very important you seek help from me or for your classmates. And the last thing I want to mention is we have to be very quantitative in this class. If I'm teaching before I joined UNC Pembroke, that's Dr. Jack Spinant, he told me that before I joined UNC, that's an Asian faculty who taught operation management. What he taught is like how to write business plan, right? But this is also, definitely operation management, we still need to know how to write business plan. I didn't teach you guys, but it's an important factor or component. But from my understanding, from my experience, you have to be very quantitative. Or at least, last slide, right? You have to be able to interpret or use the results. It also requires you have some quantitative skills. It's not easy. I give you the forecast, you have to interpret and use these forecast results. If you are not sensible about models, you will have big trouble, from my experience. Let's talk about my previous company. Well, I find you guys are kind of shocking. Say I charge my clients, like Pro and Gamble, you name all $200 per hour, right? Probably another question you didn't speak up is how you deserve to charge them $200 per hour, right? Who are you, yeah, right? Why you charge them $200 per hour for doing consulting job? Why this Fortune 5 company, they want to pay you $200? First is that, well, discussed during recession, they find they keep lose money, right? They want to invest millions of dollars to improve their forecasting, inventory management, transportation. They want to do that, so they help us. Why we deserve this $200 per hour consulting fee? I can tell you, we are cheap. If they have big name like SAP, have you guys heard SAP? It's ERP provider. Oracle, you guys must heard Oracle, right? Oracle is also a big provider for the supply chain operation software. They're more expensive, like 300 or you higher per hour. So, okay, maybe you ask why you are just operations guys, all right? So why $200 per hour? Right? It's because, let's talk about my previous company. We have like just about 100 people. So their software developer is a back desk people, the developer software. The people we charge, the clients is called consultants, us. Right? We have probably half of people are consultants, face direct to our client, 50 people. Among these 50 people, I would say 95% has the graduate degree, 95%. And you can name that, or you can say, we have several people from New York Buffalo, it's a great university, right? We have actually 2 people from University of Pennsylvania, 1 PhD, 1 master. And we have 2 people from my school, Purdue University. We can call that. We have MBA from College Mellon. We have MBA from University of Minnesota. We have a lot of people in industrial engineering. I can tell you one thing is that we have more people from engineering school than from business school. But definitely like me or my colleague from MBA, we are from business school. But we have more people from engineering, like Tim Cook, right? Current CEO of Apple. His major is industrial engineering. That's the background of many of my previous colleagues. So you can see that's our profile. We can solve problems. It's not just because our degree, PhD, or master. We can solve problems. We can solve your problem, our client's problem. We can look at the data. We deal with tables like millions of rows. One table, a huge table. Like for example, Unilever's past sales table for the past 2 years, millions of rows. Like we can talk about 100 columns. That's table. We deal with this table every day. We play the table. We run different models. We test the results. We find the best result for it. If you just simple throw some people in this table, they don't know. They don't have the skill or SQL or any whatever database skill. Don't know, and they don't even they have a database skill. They don't know how to build a model for this huge amount of data, right? So that's the reason you have to be very quantitative. From my experience, I find my engineering background's colleagues, they overall perform better than us, frankly speaking. Even I'm a very quantitative person, right? So I don't require you guys as high as my colleagues, even myself. But I just want to let you know, the opportunities there, we have talked about salary. Like many people in my previous company, they now earn like 6 figures, very close to 6 figures. But they work very hard and they're very quantitative. There are definitely less quantitative job in the operation management field, but you still need to, as we have explained, interpret and use the results. You need to get some sense of how we build a model, how we get the result of the model. Okay, that is. Question, comments? No? It's good? Okay. Several models will introduce in this semester. Let's first talk about some models we introduced. First, inventory models were introduced in chapter 13. I think I will introduce 7 models, maybe, of inventory management. You can use directly after you finish this class. Forecast techniques, very useful from next week. Okay. Statistical model will introduce some statistical model to control quantity in chapter 10 for the quantity control. There's something we won't introduce, queuing techniques. Anybody know what is queuing techniques mean? Anybody? Queuing.
queuing techniques?
Okay, I can give you a very simple example. Even we don't have time or to spend in this class. Queuing is like, for example, you go to like BB&T, right? Let's say 10 people wait in front of you. You have to decide which queue you want to enter to minimize your waiting time, right? You say, okay, you just bet, like Walmart, maybe betting example. You have to bet, okay, which cashier line probably has shortest wait. There's so many factors. Tell me, how you will decide which lane you will wait when you enter Walmart if every lane has like 3 customers waiting? How will you decide?
The amount of stuff in their cards.
Oh yeah, the number of staff in the cars.
The number of customers.
Number of cars, that's maybe most important. What else?
The age of the cashier.
Yeah, no, that's a discrimination. Yeah.
She's old.
You will say the skill level, right? The skill level, the performance rates, constant. Pay attention. Okay, I'm fine, but yeah, when you work in the company or any organization, if you say that, it can be a big problem. Actually, I never say that because it's also unfair. Right? It's not really age of a cashier. It's a skill level, okay, performance cashier. Now those many things can affect the performance, right? So queuing theory will tell you the best strategy, not for the customer, for the organization. How will you design your waiting strategy to let your customer be happy? One thing you can always do that is you combine your different lanes together. It's harder to Walmart to combine together because we have a huge shopping carts, right? You can't combine. But if you go to BB&T, go to some bank, you can see that so many clerk there. You just in the same lane and like TJ Maxx, right? You have in the same lane and there's 5 cashiers say available. You just go to cashier. It's very fair, right? Every people first come first serve. But Walmart it can be unfair. You go to some wrong lane and you wait for forever, right? Another thing you can do is that, for example, for the customer service, right? You call Chase, you call BB&T, and then you wait for half an hour, nobody answers your phone. Right? How do they design the way to minimize your waiting time, to improve the customer service? That's about queuing techniques. Another very important thing I can't introduce here is a linear program. I have discussed with our department chair, other colleagues say, oh, I can't imagine UNC Pembroke, we don't teach students the linear programming. It's kind of like the group force, but I still don't have time to teach this in my class. But I want to introduce that to you guys. Anybody know what is linear programming mean? No? Linear programming is an optimization model. So we have talked about optimization, I think you know from like, economics, right? So no matter what company you work, usually we maximize the revenue or minimize the cost. Let's say you maximize the revenue. It's very simple model. You hold 2 products, X and Y. Products X sales price is $3 per unit, and the products Y sales price is $4 unit. So it's very simple. Your goal is very simple. I want to maximize the revenue of these 2 products. What's happened? Okay. That's my problem. That's okay. So just make sure. But you may have some you can't say, okay, I sell all of them. This can have, let's say you have 2 constraints. Right? The first constraint is about your, right, let's say your employee, capacity of employee. Each product X, let's say, take you 10 minutes to process, maybe load, unload, put in the shelf, right? Each product Y take you 8 minutes to load, unload, clean, and put on the shelf. So your total working hours, I don't know, let's say you have 2 people, every people 6 minutes times 8, 480, so 960 minutes. That means, okay, 16 hours. So you have 2 workers, 16 hours per day, right? That's one constraint. You only have 2 people. That's the capacity, right? They can maximum they work 960 minutes per day. Right? So for products A, take 10 minutes. Load, unload, clean, and put on the shelf. Product B, 8 minutes. Right? Even that's checkout. Another capacity is that, let's say you have some transportation capacity. Right? We have the truck come to here, they're huge products, whatever reason, so they have the size is pretty big. You only have 1 truck, maybe only 1 load per day. And then we have another constraint. Let's say, I don't know, I just said maybe 30 square feet, something like that. 25y plus or equal to, say, 1,000 cubic, something like that. Okay, cubic square feet, cubic feet, something like that. So that's the capacity for your truck. So you can see we have two capacity, employee and our transportation. This can be the simplest model I can think about, right? You still want to maximize your revenue. You have two products. Given your employee working time constraint and your trucks transportation constraint, you still have this goal. Do you guys have any idea how to solve this problem? No, right? Until now, no. Just I can tell you, you just put these constraints in the Excel. Solve this in 1 second. Excel will tell you the optimal X and Y you should order to make sure maximize your revenue. This is called a linear program. Why is a linear program? Because you can see the optimization we call the objective function is linear. 3x plus 4y is linear. It's not quadratic or exponential. That's become hard. The constraint is also linear. The inequality, 10x plus 8y or 30x plus 25y is linear. If the constraints and the objective function, they are all linear, it belongs to the linear program or linear optimization. These problems, this big category can be solved easily. We can find the optimal, it's really optimal solution. You don't need to understand how can we find that, right? But I want to let you know in the future, if you see this problem, don't be panic. Yeah, maybe it's my fault, Charles can't introduce how to solve this problem. But if you Google that, I bet you spend 1 day, you know how to use Excel to solve this problem. Don't need to understand. Hopefully you will have time later to understand how we can solve this problem. But Excel can solve for you. But you need to know that we have this tool. Because I worry about you guys. If you do the job hunting and in interview, they will ask you, do you understand optimization? Do you know linear programming? You should definitely say, yes, I know. That's my suggestion. When you have interview, always say, yes, I know. But definitely, you need to know. Otherwise, they ask, what is linear program? You can't explain. You have need to explain, okay, linear program is that, okay, when the object function is linear and the constraints are also linear, that's called a linear program. And we can solve that by Excel. That's your answer, perfect, right? I don't think they will ask you to, right, take Excel, solve that for me. You can spend time. I say, I will come back in 24 hours. Okay, I will solve for you. Should be enough. So that's the tool is very useful. Unfortunately, we should cover that. Maybe my fault, but it's very useful. Okay. But we'll cover forecasting models, we'll cover inventory models, we'll cover lots of models in this class. Should be more than enough for many of you guys. Again, let me emphasize that. I understand maybe many of you don't have strong quantitative background. That's totally fine for me. That's totally fine for me. And don't worry about it. One thing I didn't mention last week is that I'm a really tough professor, which is true, right? Some students say, previous students say, Charles' class is the hardest class in school business. I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud when students make these comments. I know it's crazy, right? But I'm really proud of that. Say, Charles' class is the hardest class. But I'm not sure what is true. Maybe just one student judgmental comments or it's hardest. But I can tell you one thing. 4 years I teach this class in UNC Pembroke in the face-to-face session. Nobody failed in my face-to-face session. Every student passed my class in face-to-face. I want to keep this record. I told my students always, if somebody dare to fail in my class in face-to-face session, you are my enemy. I want to keep this record. I'm very serious. It's not I may be your enemy too. But if you dare to fail this class in my face-to-face session, you are my enemy. Because from next, I can't claim that nobody failed in this class. I want to have this one, hardest class. Everybody pass. That's the record I want to keep. I'm very proud of these two records. So if you dare to fail, especially you don't come to me before you fail, right? You say, I don't need your help, and then you just fail. You are my enemy. It's clear for you guys? Right? So if you have trouble, ask your classmates, ask me, you should be fine. Okay, we'll see you guys on Wednesday.